Hey, y'all, welcome to the Blue Plate Special. It is real live music right here in beautiful downtown Knoxville, Tennessee. Excuse me, we're here inside a Visit Knoxville, and you can feel free to come join us if you like. But if you can't be here with us, it is streaming live right now from our WDVX Facebook page and YouTube channel, or you can also watch it back at your convenience. So today, our guest is, she's currently based over in Nashville, Tennessee. Y'all welcome Leslie Jordan to the Blue Plate Special.
Himself the agonist, never had a good thing he didn't squander. From Athensville to Provincetown, we follow the agonist around, out to El Cerrito where he wandered. A generation dressed in black, on the heels of Kerouac, one in line behind lonely poets. But when you chase a fantasy, reality is a casualty. You can trade the world and never know it. A poet and a prodigal, manic and methodical, born with something begging to roam. Insane or just insatiable, a pilgrim with no place to go. Our story starts and ends with him alone. The agonist, a man without a home. Thank you so much. I'm going to play a few songs for you today from my album that just came out called The Agonist. That was the title track from The Agonist. This record is all songs written from the lost writings of my grandfather who passed away in 1995. And when he did, we got a box full of his stuff, and in it were a bunch of poems, journals, short stories. And these are some of the songs that I've written from some of those stories. This is The Fight. The rebellion was over. She sent him to wash his hands. She tried to reason with him, but he could not understand. There comes a time when you find the limit. Well, sometimes fear can look like anger, and you've misread subtle signs. Hard to see the situation that you're trying to justify. There comes a time when you find the limit. Ooh, there comes a time when you find the limit. She replays the memory of the hard words in his fist. She lost her temper for a moment, but he lost some innocence. There comes a time when you find Missing from his eyes, he was a child, but that fight stayed with him. Thank you.
This is Leslie Jordan with us here today on the Blue Plate Special. So, Leslie, let's start with where did you grow up?
I actually grew up in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Okay, not far.
Northeast Tennessee, yeah, Johnson City.
So how long have you been in Nashville?
I've been in Nashville since 2003, so 22 years.
Okay.
Feels like a long time. I feel like I get to say I'm from there now.
You kind of do. It's definitely home now.
Yep, it is.
So I was going to ask you about your musical beginnings. So it's obvious that your grandfather was a writer.
Yes.
As you said. Was there musicians in your family?
Not too many. No, my aunt, my mom's sister, actually was the first person I knew that played the guitar, and she taught me like, Willoughby, Wallaby, Woo, and that kind of thing on the guitar. And yeah, I started playing the fiddle in second grade, and didn't fall in love with it like I thought I would, and then ended up asking for a guitar in fourth grade, and so I've been playing music since then. And yeah.
What about songwriting?
Songwriting, yeah, sort of came through in my middle school emo years where I needed to figure some things out, and started realizing that you can write your way through your feelings. And so it was always that for me for most of my life, and still is to this day. And I think this project has been interesting because I'm writing from my grandfather's perspective. So I'm used to writing from mine, and it's been a really fun exercise to jump into someone else's perspective on life and try to write stories from that place.
Do you ever write with someone else?
Oh yeah, all the time. I actually brought in a ton of co-writers for this record. I think partly because I knew I was going to be so in the story that I wanted a third perspective and someone who could kind of look more objectively at the poetry. I never knew my grandfather, so it wasn't a very emotional experience for me, but I had spent years with his work, and I knew sort of what I wanted things to sound like and how I wanted to shape out. But it was really great to bring in some friends who I've known for a long time, who I've trusted in a writing room, who I trust their own artistry. And I said, will you help me sort of bring these songs to life? And so many of those friends really helped. These songs wouldn't be what they were without them.
Well, let's talk more about the project. Now, basically, are you taking his poetry and putting it to music, or are you rewriting these stories into your own story per se? Or, tell us more about
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of his poetry was unfinished. You know, it was a lot of him working out his story in his writing. I think he wanted to be a published writer. He had one piece of poetry that was published in his life, but he spent most of his life working in a factory, and so his art was sort of that expression of himself that no one really got to know until after he was gone. And so I wanted to bring his words into it as much as I could, but there were some things that were rough around the edges, and so I think I was able to take some liberties with it. And I talked to my mom. My mom's also an incredible writer. She's a poet. And so we would sit with his work and we would talk about the things that really felt right. And then there were some things that felt a little confusing. He struggled with addiction. And so you can definitely tell in and out of different pieces where he was more present than others. And so I think what I hoped to do and what I tried to do was to pull in as many of his words as I could where you understood the context of what he was trying to say, but then, brought my own artistic expression to that as well.
Well, it happens that the Agonist is available out there where you stream your music, and also LeslieJordanMusic.com. She's going to be doing a show in town tomorrow night at Relics Theater. That's at 7 o'clock. There are links to the tickets from her website, LeslieJordanMusic.com, as well as they'll be available at the door. And, well, hey, there happens to be a merch table available over there as well after the show. You can certainly stop by there and shake and howdy with her and thank her for being here and sharing her music with us here today. For right now, I'm going to back out of the way. We can get some more music from Leslie Jordan on the Blue Plate Special.
Thank you, Red. Most of the work that my grandfather wrote had really interesting and amazing titles. And as a songwriter for the last 20 plus years, that's sometimes the hardest part. And what a lot of my friends come into a co-writing space with, they say, I've got this really awesome title. How do we write this song? And so I would just flip through his pages and think, gosh, what a great song title that is. And this is one of them. It's a song called Athensville. And the more I dug, I talked to my mom about what Athensville meant. And she said it's actually, a synonym for Crawfordsville, which is where he's from. Crawfordsville, Indiana, is considered the Athens of Indiana, mostly because of the literary prowess that came out of there at that time. General Lew Wallace wrote Ben-Hur in Crawfordsville, Indiana. It's this little sort of unknown town they were book publishers, and really incredible art that came from that space. And so my grandfather would write about this town, and he talked a lot about how cold it was and how barren it was, but I think he had a love-hate relationship with it, which a lot of us do from the places we came from, It's what shaped us, but it's also what, when the time was right, helped us move on. So this is Athensville.
White smoke rising, countryside. The fields are frozen beneath the snow. Dark trees stand tall, setting sun falls, holding secrets no one knows. And the dogs are barking still. You can hear it from Sugar Hill, where the cemetery's filled with the ghosts of Athensville. Robbie's drinking to keep from feeling, washing all his demons down. She calls him selfish, he calls it restless, and the whistle blows on the edge of town. And the train is running still. You can hear it from Sugar Hill, where the cemetery's filled with the ghosts of Athensville. But there ain't no use in trying. He made up his mind. He would rather wander than live someone else's life. You see, the ones before him get swallowed by their fear, but he ain't afraid of dying, just dying here. So you won't find him standing still like the pines on Sugar Hill, where the cemetery's filled with the ghosts. And the snow is falling still. It's covered all of Sugar Hill, where the cemetery's filled with the ghosts. Where the cemetery's filled with all the ghosts. Where the cemetery's filled with the ghosts of Athensville.
holding down the acoustic and the upright bass. We fit all this stuff in our Toyota Highlander today. My husband came with us, and it was quite a feat. But luckily, this bass folds down into like a tiny little box, so you would never know.
It's like a hole in the back of it where the neck just folds in like that. It's crazy.
It's wild. Those of you listening on the radio have no idea what we're talking about, but
Just imagine it.
just imagine
Imagine
a large...
a big hole in the back of a upright bass. And don't get anxious.
It definitely made me anxious the first time you did it. I was like, is it supposed to do that? Well, this next song is, it's about my grandparents. So they were not married for very long, and they got married really young, and I think had a pretty complicated relationship. They had my mom when they were really young, and he didn't write about her much in his poetry, but we found this one song, or this one piece in his journal that he wrote about her, and it was really compelling to me because he talked about how much... how great she was, and how he feels like he ruined everything just by being himself. So this is a love song about my grandparents. She came down to visit him in El Paso, Texas, and so I asked my friend Taylor, who wrote this song with me, I said, I want this to feel a little bit like Roy Orbison in the 50s, and she started to play this little part, and this is Love Me for a Little While. Down by the Rio Grande, she reached for my hand, almost enough to make me feel like a worthy man. Little disagreements made up with a kiss. We were hand holders, moviegoers. You could spend a life like this. She was headstrong, knew what she wanted, free as a bird, humble and honest. I think she loved me for a little while. She took the train from Indiana, so I wouldn't be alone. But the honeymoon was over before she got back home. I was young and foolish, and time just made it worse. Built my house on the moral high ground. There wasn't any room for her. She was headstrong, knew what she wanted, free as a bird, humble and honest. I think she loved me for a little while. It's usually a pretty cool guitar part right here. Just have to imagine it. And I hate myself for how I was back then. Wish that I could tell her I'm a different man. I've been thinking on this open road, had a good thing and I let it go again. She was headstrong, knew what she wanted, free as a bird. If I'm being honest, I could have loved her for my whole life. But in the rear view, it's all 2020. Got a clear view of true love ending light. Think she loved me for a little while. At least she loved me for a little while. Thank you.
Well, it's Leslie Jordan with us here today on the Blue Plate Special. Quickly, I need to mention that the WDVX Blue Plate Special is presented by Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria on Jackson Avenue in Knoxville's Old City. It's home of the Big Plate on Fridays, and by Modelo Especial and Corona Extra, as well as Visit Knoxville. You can find more information about upcoming shows on the Blue Plate Special by visiting our website and the calendar there at WDVX.com. Tomorrow, Tim Fast and Charlie Lovewolf will be here with us. So, Leslie, you know, I know that the main focus of this project is the writings from your grandfather. I'm just wondering, like, about previous recordings. Have you recorded your own music out there?
Yeah. I was in a band for about 10 years called All Sons and Daughters. We wrote songs mostly for the church, and we toured for about 7 years. We came off the road in 2017 and disbanded in 2018. And since then, I've mostly just been writing in Nashville with other writers for their projects. I became a mom in 2017, so it's been a really sweet season of being home and writing mostly with other artists. And the thing I think that happens to artists, and I sort of knew this, but sitting in the writer's seat, you start to feel that itch again to do the artist thing. I've been writing songs my whole life, and so this was sort of the nudge that I needed to get back out there and start playing again and writing. So it's been fun the last year and a half of just sort of like honing in and making this record for myself. It's my debut solo album. The last album I made for myself was in my friend's dorm room in college in probably 2003 or 2004. So it's been a long time coming.
It's Leslie Jordan. She's going to do a few more tunes for us here today on the Blue Plate Special.
I watched the sunset through the Golden Gate. Wondered if it wasn't just me falling away from the light that used to live inside these bulbs. I don't know. I heard the news of blizzards way back east. Standing on the California beaches, while the love that used to live inside this heart feels so far. 'Cause I'm not here, and I'm not there. I'm not anywhere in between. Not the man I thought I'd be. I'm just barely hanging on to me. I've chosen sides, I've argued every thought, bargained for my life and even bargained with God, and found I was more lost and more alone than I'd ever known. 'Cause I'm not here, and I'm not there. I'm not anywhere in between. Not the man I thought I'd be. I'm just barely hanging on to me. I'm just barely hanging on to me. I justify the things I take and use. Pray one day I'll find some absolution and try to write
Got two more for you. One of the poems that my grandfather wrote was a poem called The Seeker. And in it he said, in my 42nd year, I no longer write the love poems, no longer chase after the things of my youth. And he goes on to say a few more things. And then the very last line is, but sometimes, comma, Sylvia, ... And I was like, who is Sylvia? And so I called my mom, and I looked through more of his writing and still couldn't figure it out. And she said, well, there's a funny story about that. She said, Sylvia's actually his brother's wife. So the plot thickens. And so I thought that sounded like a pretty great song title, Sometimes Sylvia. So this is a song about that.
Selfish, can't help it, in search of secrets never told. Untethered, this weather is too damn hot to feel this cold. I like that you remember that misty afternoon, gambling with pennies that were born to bear no fruit. I've carried it around, and now it seems that you have to. But sometimes, Sylvia, the lever and the seeker both stop killing you long enough that I can watch you waltz across the page. I've chosen a road in innocence and nevermore. These poems are so lonesome. Should I just nail them to your door? When was it, Sylvia, the day we climbed the lane? I tried to tell you, but the right words never came. I couldn't cross that bridge, and so I gave it your name. But sometimes, Sylvia, the lever and the seeker both stop killing you long enough that I can watch you waltz across the page. The page. The page. The page. Someday, Sylvia, the lever and the seeker both stop willing you to dance, just to watch you waltz across the page.
Thank you so much.
This is Leslie Jordan with us here today on the Blue Plate Special. She has one last tune for us, but I want to remind everyone about the performance tomorrow evening at Relics Theater on Central. You can find the ticket link at the website lesliejordanmusic.com. Tickets will also be available at the door. And then from there, on Thursday, she's going to be headed up to her hometown
That's
for
right.
a gig up there in Johnson City. You can find the complete tour schedule there on the website as well. There's merch available here in-house, and we always encourage our audience to shake hands with our performers and just thank them for being here and making some music for us today. Tim Fast and Charlie Lovewolf will be with us tomorrow on the show. You can always find our calendar right there at WDVX.com. Thank y'all so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
you making some music for us. And again, tomorrow evening at Relics as well. Will you leave us with one last tune?
Yeah, absolutely. The first cup of coffee, the hum of a train, the books that you left on the shelf, the wrongs you can't right, the times that you tried, the last of these being yourself. All things you finally learn, all things you finally learn to love. The fears that you ran from, the debts you can't pay, the old highs that no longer thrill you, the hands left unheld, the head still unwell, the poet you had to let kill you. All things you finally learn, all things you finally learn to love. You drove single-minded, your headlight night, straight to the edge of the world, with all of the things you carried with you. All things you finally learned, all things you finally learned, you finally learned to love, you finally learned to love. Thank you so much.
That's Leslie Jordan. Thank y'all. Join us again next time for more real live music on the Blue Plate Special.